Hey artists, welcome back. We have already begun our exploration of colored pencil techniques, and we're going to take it a bit further by exploring form, value techniques, and the color wheel and color schemes. So just real quickly to recap what we did last time, we practiced working with our primary hues that can make any other colors. We practiced layering our colored pencils with pressure to mix and make secondary colors. Then we experimented with the pressure of our pencil to make a gradation from dark to light, to make tints from dark to light with a color plus white, and a shade with a color plus black. And now we'll move to wrapping these techniques around different forms. So let's get started. Our forms look round already because we've drawn them in 3 dimensions, but they're going to look even better here in a minute when we start wrapping value, tints, and shades around the form. So a nice easy way to do this is simply to start with your darker pressure at the edge and follow the overall contour of the form, moving to lighter, lighter still, back to medium, and back to dark. And then we can always go back in and even out those transitions. You'll notice my highlight matches the outside edges. It's not just a little white spot. It follows the entire contour of the form. It's narrow at the top, just like the form, and wider at the base. Okay, the only thing we're missing here is a cast shadow. Cast shadows can be really simple. You can just give them a dark little line to sit on like they're sitting on a table, or you can take a look at where your highlight is and you can give yourself the same shadow shape as your form shape. Okay, all right, let's move on to cubes. A lot of times I see people trying to create a gradation on all the sides, but an easier way to take care of a cube is to make a light, a medium, and a dark side. Let's go ahead and hop right in with our dark. Okay, you can use any color when you're practicing these shading techniques. We'll make this side a medium tone, so just a little bit lighter. And the goal here is to turn these into 3-dimensional forms. So we want our outlines to disappear into the work we're doing. Okay, if we just do a little bit of value on the light side, that way our outline disappears and we can kind of see a little bit of dimension. All right, and let's just give it a little dark mark, both sides and across the back. Exciting. Again, light, medium, dark, 3D. All right, let's go to the circle and turn it into a sphere. Okay, we'll start with where the highlight might be, and then gradually, get darker all the way around. It's a great reminder for you to use a handheld sharpener. It'll make our pencils last longer. All right, so we're gonna wrap that value all the way around the circle. I tend to see a lot of spheres that look more like crescent moons. Let's work on avoiding that. Okay, so we're getting darker and darker the further away from our highlight. Let's add a little bit of orange. Okay, so a little bit of medium value wherever our form curves away. All right, looks pretty good, right? What are we forgetting? Our cast shadow. Just a nice little shadow, sit it on the table. Okay, cylinder. Just like our cone, we're gonna go dark, medium, light, medium, and dark. Oh, look at that, easy peasy. Then we're gonna make the top just a nice even value. Fantastic. Give it a dark shadow like it's sitting on a table. Awesome. With your little banner here, I want you to start with any color you want, and let's just make it look rounded. So we'll go dark, medium, light, back to medium, really dark back in there because it's behind, a little lighter, a little darker, back here, really dark. It's behind all of it. To lighter. All right, and we could always give this ribbon a super rad cast shadow. Like it's blocking the light. Love it, love it. Check it out. Fantastic. All right, on the back side, we are gonna work to create some value techniques. So our hatching is lines in any one direction. All right, pick any color you want, and let's practice lots of lines to make it a dark, intense color. Overlapping individual lines here, you guys. And then we'll start spreading our lines out a little bit and giving them some white space. We might even start making shorter, thinner lines so that our value can go from intense and dark to very light. All right, cross hatching. Should we switch colors? Cross hatching is like hatching, except we have lines in multiple directions. Okay, you can line them up really carefully and make nice X's as you go, or you can be really expressive with your cross hatching. It might also depend on what you're drawing. If you cross hatch on a cat, it might be really textured, right? Whereas if you cross hatch on a smooth apple skin, Granny Smith in this case, you might want to make them very even and smooth. Okay, lots of lines, pressing hard, spreading them out, pressing lightly to make it lighter. Let's move on to scumbling. I think you guys will love this one. When we scumble, it's controlled scribbling. So a nice circular motion will keep you from having scratchy marks. It can also enable you to make smooth, gentle transitions. You can also layer scumbling. So if you want to highlight on a cherry, a nice bright white reflection, you can scumble the white colored pencil right on top. Or if you want to create a deep dark shadow using a navy blue on the bottom of your apple, then you could scumble that shadow in. Okay, so I'm pressing less and I'm coloring less. All right. Okay. And the goal here is to really spend some time mastering these techniques before we apply them to our next artwork. Layering, this one's fun, everybody loves it. So you can choose either one of the techniques that you've just practiced, or you can just use that gradation technique. And we're gonna go from dark on one side with one color to lighter, and then we'll pick a second somewhat related color, so we make a nice new color, and work our way back across. So maybe this turquoise or sky blue. And we're gonna work our way across the yellow, and with careful pressure, we should get a nice limey green. Okay. Now you can layer until you can't see the pencil marks and you get a high gloss finish. You do need to be careful with colored pencil brands like Crayola and Prang. They have a little more wax in them, and that wax will build up on the surface before your colors are fully blended. Okay, some of the nicer art pencils have more pigment, like these are Prismacolor Scholars. We use them in drawing a lot. They have softer lead, more pigment in them. All right, that's some great layering. Okay, the next part of our worksheet, we will practice together. We're gonna work on placing our primary colors on the color wheel first, then we'll figure out where the secondary colors go, and then we'll cover intermediate or tertiary colors after that. So let's go ahead and first of all define color schemes. So color schemes are groups of colors that are related for some reason. And there's a list of them here that we'll use in class. This color wheel is kind of the explanation for your color schemes, for your groups of colors. If we know where the colors go, then we can figure out why they go together, right? So if we place red here, we're gonna skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna put our next primary color. It can be blue or yellow because it is a wheel, right? It spins. 1, 2, 3, equidistant. And we're gonna place our last primary color, yellow. Okay, now it gets kind of important that you pay attention to where things are so that we can place our secondary colors. So if we have red and yellow and we mix them equally, we'll get orange, you got it. If we mix equal amounts of red and blue, we'll get a nice violet or purple. And last but not least, if we mix blue and yellow, think of a Ziploc bag, we'll get green. In between those colors, you will have your intermediate colors. And we always start with the primary color name first because it's the most important base color, right? We have yellow and orange for yellow-orange. We have red and orange for, you guessed it, red-orange. Then we have red and violet to make a nice red-violet. Blue and violet, you guessed it, blue-violet. Blue and green gives us a nice blue-green, and green and yellow gives us, last one, yellow-green. Okay, let's go ahead and spend some time coloring and mixing. You did successfully mix your secondary colors on the other side. So you graduated to using your purple, orange, and green colored pencils. But guess what? You still have to mix to get your intermediate colors. Okay? Take some time and develop those colors and techniques. And then we will talk about how these color schemes function. Half of our color wheel is warm and half of our color wheel is cool. Okay, which half is warm? The half with the warm colors, red, orange, yellows, maybe even all the way to yellow-green, depending on how much yellow you have in it, right? These make us think of sunny days and happiness and intensity, whereas the other half of our color wheel is our group of cool colors. Okay, it might start in red-violet and work its way all the way around the bottom side in this instance to green or yellow-green. Okay, we've extensively covered our primary colors. We'll keep reviewing those. Our secondary colors you mixed on the other side and placed correctly here. Complementary colors get really exciting. You can think of your favorite sports teams and what color their logos are. Okay, so if you think about the Denver Broncos, we have blue and orange, or maybe a favorite holiday, red and green. And last but not least, those Vikings, violet and purple and yellow. So maybe even the Spartans, go Sentinel. Okay, these are colors that if you folded your color wheel directly in half would touch each other. They create great contrast. Colors that are not on the color wheel are your neutral colors, your black, white, gray, and brown. You can make them by mixing two complementary colors, or you can use them as more natural earthy pigments. Monochromatic is one of my favorites because we get to work with lots of value techniques. That's using one color plus its tints and shades. Analogous colors get used a lot because they're easy to work with. They create a lot of unity. You start with one color and use any number of colors that are next to each other when you work with analogous colors. One of my favorites is yellow-orange to yellow-green. It's just a nice, bright, soft bit of color. All right, we'll continue exploring this concept of color and emotion and mixing across multiple materials and content areas. But for now, focus on mastering your gradations, your blending, your forms, your value techniques, And of course, this lovely color wheel.